Hello everybody and welcome to another movie review vlog, and today I am taking a look at Black Panther. And I gotta say that there was a lot of hype leading up to this, mostly with the African American community, and for good reason, because since it has been a long time since there has been a superhero movie with a leading black actor. Sorry, Wesley Snipes. And for those of you who don't know, Black Panther is the very first black superhero from Marvel Comics, which came out during the 1960s and was created by Stan Lee, of course. And the plot of this movie is that it takes place right after Captain America's Civil War, or like a couple months afterwards, in which T'Challa, the Black Panther, has to become king while facing old threats and new threats that threaten both his livelihood, his family, and his country. And let me just say right off the bat that this movie was enjoyable. It's not exactly great, and it's not exactly bad. It was okay. I mean, Chadwick Boseman did a pretty fine job starring as the leading superhero, and especially since I gave him a little bit of guff in the last movie I reviewed, saying that his acting was a bit stagnant. And of course, this is a huge step up for him. He actually carried his own weight and, of course, delivered a lot of his roles pretty well. A lot of the other supporting characters did pretty well as well. But I will have to say that some of the minor ones, like the love interest and the villains, were a little bit too forced or disappointing. I did enjoy Andy Serkis as Claw, but it was a little disappointing to see what happened to him near the end. And as for Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, he did pretty well for himself, and a lot of people have said that he's more or less one of those complex villains. He does have an agenda, and I do understand with a guy like him where he's coming from, but at the same time, he just felt more of a thug, like more than 75% of the time during his role, with how aggressive he is, how he acts, and pretty much how he delivered his lines more than half the time. And of course, but I will have to say though that the Marvel Studios did a very good job when it came to hiring the right kind of people when it came to, for director. This is of course being directed by Ryan Coogler, who also did other fine movies like Straight Outta Compton. And of course, throughout this movie, it also did a very fine job mixing the African culture along with the superhero complex meshed into it. And it did blend in perfectly, very well. But at the same time, there were times where it just felt like the padding just went on for a little too long, or it was a little too pointless at some parts. Not all of it, but there were some pointless scenes. And of course, there was one character in the movie who tried to make a dead meme joke, pointing at T'Challa's sandals, saying, "What are those?" Which everybody in the theater I was in pretty much just sighed and groaned, not a single chuckle. And of course, there was a high amount of CG as well that went a little too over the top with the cities and the giant rhinos and everything else. But I guess you gotta have at least some spectacular fight scene near the third act of a superhero movie. I did like the design of how the Black Panther moves, the tech he used, and everything else, which is pretty good, along with all the other supporting characters. And all of the other African American actors who were in this movie did a very fine job. But when you boil it all down, it's pretty much your standard superhero movie where the hero does something, does a few action scenes, gets taken off his pedestal by the villain, but also comes back in the third act in the end. But that's just how it is. I hope I don't spoil too much for you if you guys haven't seen it already. But I highly recommend watching it in theaters as soon as you can, or when it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray. It's a must-buy without a doubt. And of course, a fair matinee price as well. And as for my rating for Black Panther, I would have to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And for those of you who don't know about this, I am a huge fan when it comes to comic book movies in general. So if you ever stop by my IMDb page, I do have a personal list of all of the best to worst superhero movies of all time, which I keep adding for every new comic book movie entry that I review. And where Black Panther lies, I would have to put him somewhere between Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Blade, which, if you ask me, it was, like I said before, it's a very fine movie, it's pretty good. But there was nothing awe-inspiring or too spectacular about it. It was just pretty much your generic superhero movie, but it's not exactly a time waster. And with that said, that concludes my movie review. If you guys like what you see or have your own personal comments about the movie, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you guys have any requests of your own, feel free to hit me up on Patreon for the $1 a month club, where I will take any and all requests on this video segment series for the low price of $1. And with that said, I will see you all next time.